Inside the glass-walled lobby of Blackridge Holdings, a man in a plain gray jacket stood quietly at the reception desk. The receptionist looked him up and down, her smile thin, almost amused. No appointment. No business card. No tailored suit. She told him flatly that the CEO did not meet walk-ins. He didn't argue. He only said 4 words low and even. "You'll regret this." Within the hour, the executive boardroom doors swung open and every senior leader in the room rose to their feet for him. The morning Lucas Hale walked into Blackridge Holdings, the city was still wet from an overnight rain. The tower rose 42 floors above the financial district, its glass facade catching the gray light, its lobby polished to a mirror finish. Inside, everything moved with the quiet precision of money. Heels clicked on marble. Elevators chimed. Men in tailored suits passed through the security gates without breaking stride, the kind of men who never had to explain who they were. Lucas did not break stride either, but he did not belong to the same picture. He wore a gray canvas jacket, dark jeans, and a worn leather satchel slung over one shoulder. He was 41, lean, with the kind of stillness people sometimes mistook for fatigue. He had been awake since 2 o'clock in the morning, working through a system flaw he had not been paid to find. He had decided somewhere around 4 o'clock that he could not let it sit any longer. Behind the reception desk, sat Rachel Bennett. She had been with the company for 3 years and considered herself an expert at reading people in under 5 seconds. By her measurement, the man approaching her now did not require a second look. No tailored suit. No company badge. No sleek leather portfolio. She straightened her posture and arranged the polite processional smile she reserved for the wrong kind of visitor. "Good morning," Lucas said. "I need to speak with Vanessa Cole. It's urgent." The smile arrived right on cue. "Do you have an appointment, sir?" "No, but she'll want to hear this. Ms. Cole doesn't take walk-ins. If you'd like to leave your information, I can pass it along to the appropriate department. I've already left my information 6 times through your contact form last week." Something in Rachel's expression shifted, then not toward concern, but toward a quiet, practiced amusement. Her gaze drifted over his jacket, his satchel, the absence of a business card on the counter, and she arrived at a conclusion that satisfied her. Her voice softened the way condescension always softens, smooth and almost kind. "I understand you feel it's important, but our executive office uses its own intake process. There are channels for this kind of thing, sir. You won't pass it along." "Excuse me. You haven't passed any of the others along, or someone above you hasn't." Her smile snapped flat. She reached for the desk phone with the calm of a woman summoning consequences. "Security to the lobby, please." 2 floors above her, in an office of glass and brushed steel, Oliver Grant was watching the same morning unfold from a different vantage point. He was 46, expensively dressed, and carried himself with the calm of a man who had spent 15 years learning how to make problems disappear before anyone noticed they had existed. On his second monitor, an internal flag blinked. A new entry in the lobby log. Visitor name, Lucas Hale. No appointment. He was not surprised. He had been watching that name surface for almost 2 weeks. First in the contact form queue, where he had quietly intercepted it. Then in a forwarded email from compliance, which had vanished into a folder no one else could open. Then in a voicemail he had deleted personally after listening to it twice. Each time the name returned, it returned a little louder, and Oliver had begun to understand that this one would not simply go away. He picked up his phone and dialed reception. "Rachel, the walk-in. Is he still there?" "Yes, Mr. Grant. Security is on the way. Don't escalate. Have him removed quietly. No incident report. No name in the visitor log. Understood?" "Understood, sir." He set the receiver down and returned to his second monitor, where a series of internal financial dashboards glowed in soft greens and blues. Every figure on the screen had been by his careful design, smoothed into exactly the shape Vanessa Cole expected to see. He had built the smoothing slowly over months in increments small enough that no quarterly review could catch them. He had been very careful. Lucas Hale was the only variable he had not been able to control. On the 38th floor, Vanessa Cole was reviewing those same dashboards. She was 34, the youngest chief executive in Blackridge's history, and she had inherited the company from a father who had built it on instinct. She had rebuilt it on process. Where he had trusted his gut, she trusted structure, quarterly audits, escalation protocols, layered approvals. She believed with quiet conviction that a properly designed system could not be fooled. Her chief of staff, Marcus Riley, tapped lightly at the door. He had served under her since her first month in the role, and he was the only person in the building who could interrupt her morning without an appointment. "Ma'am, the lobby reports a walk-in asking for you, a Mr. Lucas Hale. Says it's urgent. Mr. Grant has already handled it." Vanessa did not look up from her screen. The name registered somewhere at the edge of her attention, but the second sentence dissolved it before it could settle. Mr. Grant has already handled it. That was how the system was supposed to work. That was the whole point of having a chief operating officer she trusted. She gave a small nod and said only, "Thank you, Marcus." It was a small choice made at a clean desk on a quiet morning. No drama. No alarm. Just a single, almost invisible decision to trust the protocol. Trust the man whose job it was to know which names belonged in her calendar and which did not. Later, she would remember this moment as the one she could have prevented everything from. At the time, it felt like nothing at all. Down in the lobby, 2 security officers had arrived. They were polite. They asked Lucas to step away from the desk. He did. He adjusted the strap of his satchel, looked once at Rachel, who was already typing again, eyes deliberately fixed on her screen, and turned toward the revolving door without resistance. He did not argue. He did not raise his voice. He did not even look offended. He just walked the way a man walks when he has already decided that arguing is a waste of breath. Just before the door, he stopped. He did not turn fully. He spoke just loud enough for the desk to hear and for the 2 officers to feel it land somewhere behind their ribs. "You'll regret this." Rachel did not look up. The officers exchanged a glance, shrugged, and watched him push through the glass into the rain. Outside, the morning had gone darker, the plaza shining wet beneath a low gray sky. Lucas pulled the satchel closer to his side and walked toward the parking garage at the same unhurried pace he had walked in with. He did not look angry. He looked like a man who had just given the system one last chance to do the right thing and watched it fail in real time. In the parking garage, he sat in his car for a long minute without starting it. The dashboard clock blinked from 9:11 to 9:12. He took out his phone, scrolled past 2 unread messages from a neighbor, and stopped on a calendar reminder he had set for himself the night before. Pick up dry cleaning by 6 o'clock. Groceries. Small, ordinary obligations from the small, ordinary life he had built around his own hours. He had not planned for the morning to derail any of it. He breathed out slowly. Then he reached for the satchel, pulled out a slim laptop, and opened a folder of files he had been preparing for the last 72 hours. The folder was named simply, Blackridge Final Notice. He looked at it for a moment, then closed the laptop and rested his hand on top of it. He had warned them politely. He had warned them through every official channel. He scrolled through his contacts and stopped on a name he had not dialed in nearly a decade. Daniel Webb. Board member. Old enough to remember why Lucas had been hired the first time. He pressed the call button. The ringtone barely had time to settle before Webb picked up. Lucas spoke for 90 seconds. Webb did not interrupt once. When Lucas finished, there was a beat of silence, and then Webb said only, "I'll be there in 10 minutes. Wait at the south entrance." The call ended. Lucas set the phone face down on the passenger seat and watched the rain blur the garage's exit ramp. The next door he opened was not going to be a polite one. 11 minutes after Lucas walked out of the lobby, a black town car pulled up at the south entrance of Blackridge Holdings. Daniel Webb stepped out first. He was 68, silver-haired, and moved with the unhurried authority of a man who had served on the Blackridge board for 22 years. He had taken a single phone call in the back of that town car and made a single decision in under 30 seconds. He was the kind of man who only made decisions like that for people he had reason to trust. Lucas met him at the curb. They did not shake hands. Webb only nodded once and said, "Stay close." At the security gate, the officer on duty straightened the moment he saw Webb's face. Webb tapped his board badge against the reader, signed Lucas in personally on the executive guest log under his own name, and added a short notation in the comment field. Board guest. Repeat car due as KO in English main.